Good morning, Pat Zemer here with MagnaWave. Welcome to the MagnaWave office hours. We come every Tuesday for you to join you and have a good time, talk about a lot of good stuff, talk about PEMF, talk about our machines, answer whatever questions you may have. And so we're glad to be here. If you have a question, you can post it in the chat box on Facebook, or you can post it on the YouTube page. Also, we're broadcasting today on Castbox, which is a internet radio network, if you will. And so you can also go onto Castbox and watch, or not watch, but you can listen and you can chat, and you can even call in on the Chatbox app. In fact, we can talk to several people at the same time on Castbox. So we're looking forward to that and checking that out and seeing how that will work with the program as we go forward. So you got those access points, and also you can send it. Oh, I don't have the white phone, so you don't send a text today unless we're going to get the white phone. You can send a text to 502-599-9722, and I will call you back, and we can have a discussion if you have a question at that point. Here's the white phone. Thank you very much. All right, so we're ready there. If you have anything that you would like to discuss, just send me a text, and I will call you back. Go to Castbox or whatever. Okay, also coming up this Thursday at 1 o'clock, Elaine will be hosting a webinar with a new machine introduction to show you a new machine that we are adding to the MagnaWave line from the PEMF Solutions group. We're excited about this. You can see it on Facebook. I'll give you a little teaser here. The name of the machine is the Julian, and we'll get into that later. But at any rate, Thursday, 1 o'clock, Elaine will be hosting a webinar showing and demonstrating our newest machine to the MagnaWave line. We think you'll find that exciting. It's been under development for about a year in terms of how we were going to put it all together and put it in place. So the PEMF Solutions Company have been doing that, and we've worked with them because we are close with them as a distributor, and so we've done some testing for them, so on and so forth with the device. So Thursday, 1 o'clock, be sure to tune in, and we will be more than happy to visit with you at that point in time. If you have any questions, just please put them in the. There are several people with us on Castbox, so good morning. Thank you for being with us there. For those of you in the Castbox area, this is a program talking about health and wellness utilizing PEMF therapy, which is pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Basically, it's an inflammation reduction device, and if you can reduce inflammation, you can take away pain. With that said, I'm working on a book now, a new book that I'm going to be participating in called Happy Brain. And it's dealing with what it takes to have a happy brain and to have good health and so forth. Let me come over here and check something and see if I've got any questions over here. Nope, folks are saying good morning. Good. I've got a lot of stuff going on in front of me here all of a sudden, trying to keep track of where the particular programs are and who's with us and what's going on. But at any rate, talk about a happy brain. And it's kind of my feeling that a happy brain is produced. If you relieve pain, you can lead yourself to a happy brain. And that's kind of where I'm going in the book that I'm dealing with, is how pain relief in many cases has helped people in fact have a healthy, happy brain. One of those examples that I will talk about is, and I'll give you an example of it, is a woman named Cindy. Cindy came to us. She was referred to us actually through a friend that we have at the Louisville City Soccer games and so forth, was asking me one night, does your equipment work with depression? And I said, absolutely. We've had a lot of good success with depression, and that's how we've used a lot of it. And he said, I'd like to send someone to you. And he did. And so Cindy came to see us, and the best description I can make is that when she came in the door, she's what they call clinically non-responsive depression. Clinically non-responsive depression. That's where Talking did not help. Drugs did not produce the results they wanted to. Shocking, where they used the electricity to shock the brain, did not produce the results they wanted. And so this was kind of a last straw. She was just really in a state of depression. She came in and just, God love her, she just really looked down and droopy and not happy and wouldn't look up and wouldn't smile, wouldn't do anything, and thought, what are you going to do to help me? So we began to treat Cindy, and basically we were treating her overall body, because we've learned that the PEMF provides a sense of well-being when it's applied when someone receives a treatment. So we treated her overall body, and then we also treated her head. We treated her brain area with a very, very low setting, and we'd use various, one day we'd use the butterfly over her head, the next day we'd use the paddle, sometimes we'd put the large loop on her shoulders, treating up and down like this. And so we began to treat Cindy daily. And so she would come to the office and have a 30-minute treatment, and that was it. We'd treat her for about 20 or 30 minutes, various parts of her body, and then she'd leave and come back the next day. And I can tell you that it was really tough, because the first week or so, she was kind of, what is this about? I'm not feeling any different. She didn't appear to be any different. But then after just a couple of weeks, she'd come in and she'd look at you. And then after about 3 or 4 weeks, she'd come in and she'd smile. And then she got to the point to where she was starting to converse with it. I mean, in the beginning, she hardly even said a word. She just really didn't want to talk about it or anything like that, but we just continued. We continued to treat daily. And as I was saying, as time went on, she began to respond happier, smile, do things, and start talking about wanting to go back to work. She had not been working for a number of years, and she started thinking, gee, maybe if I can keep this up, I'll be able to work, I'll be able to become productive again, feel better with my family and friends, and this is what was just continuing to happen to Cindy as time went on. Well, it took we treated her every day, and then over the weekends we didn't treat her, and she would kind of regress a little bit, start back up on Mondays, and she'd get back into the shape that she wanted to be. And so, but over time, she did talk about going back to work. She did some work for us part-time to kind of fall into place and see how that would work out. And then she was able to go back into the workforce. She did purchase her own machine, treats herself now as she needs it. And so she may go a few days without treating, then she may treat for a few days. But the bottom line is, this type of therapy has granted Cindy an opportunity to live life in a full extent, to be much happier. And she was conducting tours, bus tours, and taking people out and doing tours and making arrangements in the cities where the bus tours will go. And so it's just really been exciting to see a happy brain achieved by this type of therapy and this process that we utilized with Cindy. It was very interesting, and we keep up with Cindy. We see her. She comes in and visits from time to time, and things are going very well with her. And so that's a guide to a happy brain with depression. And I'll talk about another one in a minute. Let's see here if there are any questions that have been presented. Nothing on this side. Let's see. Let me do a click. You got something, Chris?
No. How's CastBox doing? How many people?
Well, let's see what we got going on in CastBox. See if I can figure out here. Let's see. We have some people on here. Sayed says hi. Hazel Reed's watching on CastBox. That's good. And let's see. I can't figure out where to look on here. We have 7 listeners at this point on CastBox. And Hazel, if you've got something you'd like to talk about, just click the button on the CastBox app there, and you can chime in, and we can have a conversation about PEMF, or anyone else, of course. Saeed, if you have a question about what we're doing, please feel free to chime in and hit the call button. That would be really cool, because I'd like to see how this works inside the program. I do have some questions here. Sherry asked the question, any advice on treating a tendon sheath injury? Will MagnaWave help? Well, most certainly, because what we're going to do is talk about the blood oxygenation and the blood flow to the area of the injury, to the tendon sheath, and that will help the process along. Any place where good oxygenated, improved blood flow will be beneficial to something that's going on in the body, then MagnaWave and similar types of things can be very beneficial. Let's see, I thought I saw someone request to come in. Don't know how much time I have on CastBox if someone punches the button to join. Here we go. Hassan is wanting to come in. Good morning, Hassan. How are you?
Hello, thank you. How are you?
Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Sorry.
I can hear you. It's a little garbled, but I appreciate you calling. I think that's great. If we can, you have a question for me?
Yeah, good to hear you, and thanks for that something you were saying. That I have a question about this magnetic therapy. Is it a medical therapy? Is it something medicine or something with some medicines do it, or no? Is it some practical or treatment that psychologists will do it?
I think I got the gist of your question, asking if this is a medical type of process to improve the health and wellness. It is. It's something that does allow the body to be, the cells of the body, the blood of the body to be in better condition, and can be very helpful for the healing process.
Yeah, and which persons do we need that treatment, you know?
Therapists that provide the treatment, quite often chiropractors utilize the equipment. Individual practitioners, we've got about 1,200 practitioners around the country who provide these services. And if you go to our website, MagnaWave, PEMF.com, you can see a practitioner near you in your area, so you can receive treatments at that point.
Okay, there's website too. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it already. Thank you for.
Thank you, Hassan. Appreciate you calling. Well, that was interesting. Hassan had some questions about how the therapy is used. Thank you very much for calling in. I think it was a little difficult to hear him there. I don't know how it came across on our recording, but we'll find out and see how it progresses. Any other questions? Let me see if there's anything over here in Restream. Can you treat a person with an aneurysm coiling in the brain? Well, certainly, if someone has an aneurysm, you want to be certainly cautious. It's not going to do anything to increase an aneurysm or to have any effect on an aneurysm. However, aneurysms are very critical growths or developments in the body that can be dangerous, and so you certainly want to work with a doctor when you have that type of situation to make sure. If you wanted to do a full body treatment, if it's in the brain and you want to treat the torso and the back of the person for pain or whatever there, and can the good improved oxygenated blood flow to the area produce some result that you prefer, maybe that the aneurysm doesn't grow, or that everything in your body is healthier to help you deal with that type of situation. So it's very important to deal with your doctor in those situations. We had a situation in our, it's kind of an interesting story, but my wife had an ascending aortic aneurysm. I said had, and that they discovered when they were doing some tests on her that she had this aneurysm, and so they monitored her every 6 months. They'd go and they'd do an MRI and an X-ray to see the position of this aneurysm, and along the way she continued to treat herself. She had some back issues, of which we've talked about, and how we actually got into the business was trying to help her back, and we did, and that's how we got started. But at any rate, the doctors were okay. That wasn't getting any bigger, and so when they didn't have a problem with her treating herself for her back pain, and we went on. All of a sudden she goes in one day, a couple years after all this happened, and the doctor looks at her and says, well, you know, it looks like it's a little smaller. And that doesn't happen to aneurysms. Aneurysms don't get smaller. And but we thought, well, I don't know what's causing it, but that's where we are with it. And so we continued to treat again her back because she had this fall, and it just once in a while her back would be bothering her, and we'd treat her. Well, so then this has been going on for 7 or 8 years. We did travel for a few years, and she did not have her checkups like she needed to. So we came home, and I believe it was in 2011, and she went back to her doctor, and he said, let's do some tests. And they did tests, and he looked at her and he said, well, this doesn't make any sense. This aneurysm is gone. And I don't understand that. And so it must have been a fluke. It must have been a misdiagnosis. And this had been going on for 7 years, that they had been testing her every 6 months and looking at this aneurysm and watching, making sure that it didn't get any worse. And then all of a sudden it was gone. And after all these things, it was a misdiagnosis is what their answer was. All we can sit back and say is she treated herself continually over those years. And if that had any effect on it, we don't know. But that's our aneurysm, one of our aneurysm discussions that we quite often have. There's another question here. So aneurysm, check with the doctor, and if they want you to stay away from the brain area, do that. But to treat other areas of the body and to improve overall blood circulation and blood flow, that's an okay thing. Here's a question from Terry. Would you consider excessive drooling to be a normal release for a horse during treatment? Saddlebred show horse, relax, comfortable during the treatment. Absolutely. Drooling, every person reacts differently. Every animal reacts differently to the treatments, but we look for a release. Quite often horses will lick. They'll lick with their lips become very heavy. They'll become droopy. And for a horse to relax to the point that they're drooling during a treatment could very well be a relaxation or a release from the treatment that's being different. And she says the horse chews and yawns, but that much drooling is new to me. They do have some clover in the pasture, and so a lot of things can contribute to that, but that's certainly not unusual. Not every horse does that when you treat, but it certainly can happen, and it can happen at various different times. Good morning, Samantha. Thank you for being with us, and Maureen. Good question. If anyone else has a question, please feel free to chime in. Let me come over here and take a look. Put that here and see if there's anybody on. Marlboro Man asked the question on Castbox, is it FDA approved? The modality of PEMF therapy is FDA approved. It's FDA approved for depression, TMJ issues. There is an FDA approved device for incontinence in women. There is an FDA approved device now for glioblastoma brain tumors that people have to help reduce the size of the tumor, so on and so forth. I think I'm missing one. It is approved for non-union fractures, for non-union bone fractures. It helps the healing process there. The devices that we have are safety tested. We are in the process of applying. We have applied. We're on the process of FDA approval in the United States. We've completed everything, and I know John's in the chat area today. We've completed everything on the CE approval as a medical device in Europe, and we're just awaiting our final approval on our factory. And the bureaucracy in this thing is amazing, how long it takes to get some of this completed. But Marlboro Man, to answer your question, the modality is approved. Our devices are in the process of being approved. How we use them quite often, they are considered, just so you're clear on this, Marlboro, they are considered Class 1 off-the-shelf devices, so they can be used by people for whatever, how they want to use them, for comfort, relaxation, whatever they want to do with the devices in that fashion. And so that's what we do at this point, Class 1 off-the-shelf types of devices. In the veterinary space, it's not required that you have FDA approval for a device. In the veterinary space, they operate on what they call a complaint-based situation with the FDA. That means if you manufacture something, produce something, sell something, whether it's a supplement, a device, or whatever it is, as long as you're not diagnosing, you're not practicing medicine, you can use these Class 1 types of devices. A Class 1 device is something that is non-invasive. You can do it right through clothing. It doesn't, you don't have to put any salves, you don't have to puncture anything. Drugs are not required to make you comfortable to have this type of a treatment. So it's considered a non-invasive treatment when you use these types of devices as Class 1 devices. And so that's where they kind of fall as people do studies. And we are doing 3 studies now that are in process. One for osteoarthritis at the University of Miami in Florida, and you can search these on Google. Another one at the Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit for venous wound healing, that's open wounds. And in California at the Palm Beach Veterans Hospital, we're doing a study on bed sores that we will use as we go to specific areas of the FDA. So that kind of tells you where we are with the overall situation. Marlboro Man, does it work for tennis elbow? It most certainly does. When you deal with, and I'll just be very clear with you on that, when you're taking inflammation out of the body, it's easier to take inflammation out of soft tissue, muscle, and things like that. When you're dealing with, for example, a tennis elbow where it's at, quite often you're down dealing with the tendons and the cartilage and the areas of the body that when they become inflamed, when they have pain, it takes more time to relieve that pain. And quite often when people are treated with this product, they notice a relief almost immediately. And now if they have a pain level of 10 and they treat themselves and now it's a 5, that's a good thing. Some people have total pain relief. Other people, the more they do it, if they treat themselves 4 or 5 times, the pain gets better, the function improves with each treatment as they go on. So that's a good question, Marlboro, but it does work with a tennis elbow, as it's called, to help relieve the pain. What I would do is I'd treat the elbow, the shoulder, and the low back, because even though you have the pain here, the nerves and everything are coming from the back. So you want to treat the whole area in order to get overall type of relief and help as you're proceeding in those with those types of treatments. Okay, let's see here. Let's come over here to this one. All right. I had a question yesterday about MagnaWaving a sunburn. Do you have any info on this? Thanks. Well, sunburn, you're burned, you have inflammation, it hurts, it's hot, will improved oxygenation of the blood, improved blood flow to the overall area where you're having this sunburn be effective? Yes, because inflammation is what causes pain, whether it's from a burn or a strike or whatever it may be, or whatever type of thing causes it, or whatever the cause may be. So if you can improve the overall circulation to the area and blood oxygenation, it should be beneficial to help relieve some of the pain of a sunburn. Great question, and there's a lot of sun out these days, and so that's a good opportunity for someone to have a sunburn or whatever. Okay. Let's see, how would you treat hunter's bump on a horse? Well, I would treat the area on the, sometimes, for those of you who aren't aware, a horse can get an area on her back that's just a raised hump, and you can get those areas and you can treat it. And again, just by manipulating the muscle tissue and the tendons and cartilage and everything in the area, it is possible with continued treatment to help relieve the bump and to help it, and also any discomfort that's associated with this that the animal may have. But yes, it is conceivable. Now, how long it's had it plays into that situation, if it's just developing, and that's what we have quite often with this type of treatment. The sooner you begin to treat, the better off you are, and the more rapidly you achieve the results that you're looking for. So if it's coming, treat it. If it's there and it's been there for a long time, treat it. Can you get some relief? Yes, but certainly the length of time that it's been there and how acute it may be at that point, or chronic it may be, then that's the situation that you need to deal with. Very good. Next question here. Good morning. Oh, Aaron's on. Good morning, Aaron. Looking for treatment techniques of EPM in horses. Follow up to the vet treatment. Well, and that's a very good question, and we talk about this in our training that we have. But basically, for EPM horses, we've learned that you don't just treat them one time. The EPM is caused by a parasite in the body that kind of attacks the nervous system, and so you get in there and if they've been treated, they're dead. The parasites are dead or they're dormant. And if you treat, what can happen if you begin the superoxygenation that we help to achieve in the body can help the decay process and moving this out. The lymphatic system can help move the parasites away from the body, so on and so forth. However, if you treat just one time, if it's something is irritating a nerve, let's just say it's right here and it's irritating the nerve causing pain, and you treat that area and you pulse the area and you're trying to move things to the lymphatic system or break down further decay so they can be moved out of the body, and you move it from here to here, you now have two spots that are irritated. So what we've learned with EPM is that you treat regularly. Some horses that have been treated with EPM are treated forever, maybe once a week, maybe just before they perform, whatever it may be, to keep them comfortable and to not have that type of situation, because EPM, once it's there, can last for a long time. So I learned, don't treat them just once, because quite often they'll be sorer after the first treatment than they were prior. But if you continue to treat, then you see the relief from that, and we found that it's been used a lot and very, very beneficially and well in horses with EPM. Typically, and as you said, after the vet treatment, over the years, our policy has been follow the direction of the veterinarian, and typically they would treat with marquee or some type of treatment that they would have, and when the treatment was completed, we would step in and then begin to treat the horse to relieve the pain, because they're in a lot of pain, they have a lot of inflammation, to help bring them back to a performance type of state. There are some veterinarians now who recommend that we treat and provide PEMF to the horses during the medication process of whatever they're using. So in the beginning, we were always careful to follow exactly what they wanted, and we were always careful to not do anything to exacerbate the situation. Today, as I say, there are more and more veterinarians who are having us treat either just prior to the medication delivery, during the medication delivery, and then after. And people are seeing some very good results with that process as well. So it's always good to check with a veterinarian to see what the process may be. It does not hurt at all. If they want to run through the medication process and then you treat, that's what we've done for years. We've had very good success doing that. If you want to try and the veterinarian's clear with this to do it during the process, let us know how things are working out and what you think of it at that point. Great question. Thanks for asking. So the treatment techniques, just to be clear, with EPM is you got to treat more than once and treat often to get the horse to a level. You know, our way, and I haven't said this for a while, but the logic is treat as long as function continues to improve. And then once you reach a plateau, treat as often as necessary to maintain the plateau that you're looking for. In other words, with my wife's back, she has 3 herniated discs, and in the beginning we treated her a whole bunch, and then we got to the point that we were only treating her 2 or 3 times every 30 to 45 days. We'd treat her 2 or 3 times and she'd be good for that 30 days or so. And she's been doing this for 12 years. But it does come back. We can't do anything about the herniated discs. It isn't going to do that, but it can relieve the pain. And so the longer we treated, the longer she was able to go in order to have that type of relief. So treat as long as function continues to improve, and then as often as necessary to maintain the function that you've achieved and that you want to have success with. Okay, let's see. My next question is, after an L5-S1 back fusion, how soon after surgery can you begin to treat? Our typical guideline for when we start treatments, or when these treatments can be started, again, you want to certainly talk with your doc and make sure that everything's okay and they're agreeing with what you're doing. But our rule of thumb has been, once bleeding is in control, once there is no bleeding going on, then you can begin to treat, to work on the inflammation, the results of the surgery, to help the healing process move along perhaps quicker and in a more comfortable fashion. So that's the situation. If you wanted to wait, some people want to say, they do the surgery and I want to wait 7 or 8 days, fine. Wait a few days and then begin to treat at that point. But check with your doctor. But once bleeding's in check, then typically you're safe to go do what you'd like to do comfortably in the area. But again, check with your doctor. Great question. I was just recently sunburned and used it, and it really helped. Amy, thanks for sharing that with us. There you go. Kind of filled in for what we were talking about. Let me come back over here to check with Castbox and see if there's any questions there at this point. The tennis elbow question. Okay. All right, Marlboro Man asked the question, where do we practice? We don't practice medicine. We simply provide relaxation and improvement to the blood flow of the body. We have practitioners all over the country. If you want to take a look there, we'd be happy to show you where the practitioners are. Go to our website, MagnaWavePEMF.com, click the treatment button, and you can see if there's a practitioner in your area to provide these services. All right, let's see. Let me come back over here to Restream. Nothing there. Okay. If you have a question, simply post it in the Facebook chat box. Do we have a question?
I've just got a question, a follow-up to one Sherry asked earlier.
Okay.
She talked about her horse being thirsty and drinking a bunch of water after treatment. Can you talk a little bit about why it's important to rehydrate after a treatment?
Oh, great. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Well, quite often what we're doing is we're detoxing. The process of this PEMF, MagnaWave PEMF therapy, serves to help the body detox itself. And so hydration is very important to that whole process. And so we just want to make sure that after you treat a person or an animal, you want to give them the opportunity to take on water, to give them good hydration, to help them flush any toxins that are being relieved or released from the body. That helps that whole process. Hydration is very important to anything that's going on, and we certainly always recommend that after treatment that you hydrate. And you don't want to forget that, and just make sure your horses or yourself are hydrated after treatment. Tony, thank you very much. Great question. Let's see if there's anything else that people are asking. No, let me come over here and see what we got. String halt, talking about string halt, nobody likes to talk about. They were told to retire her from the show pen. Basically, when you're dealing with those types of situations in a horse, you want to do the overall body treatment, treat areas of pain, but an overall body treatment as often as necessary in the beginning to help move the process along, and then as necessary to maintain the level of performance or the level of good feeling that you're getting at that time with the animal. Let's see, practitioners in Atlanta wanting to know, are there any states where you have to be a licensed veterinarian to be able to do MagnaWave sessions on horses? Well, there are various state regulations around the country, the veterinary regulations that stipulate what is considered veterinary practice and what is considered an exception to veterinary practice. And typically, body work, where you are massaging an animal or working over an animal with your hands, or in our case, with our devices, don't fall into the area of veterinary. Now, again, the important thing is that you don't diagnose. The important thing is that you don't treat any particular conditions or anything like that. You just treat the animal to allow the body to be in a better situation to, in fact, heal itself. So currently, there are no regulations. There are some states that talks about massage and some other areas needing to be applied under the supervision or in association with a veterinarian. But most states allow, when you talk about horses, for the owner or the agent of the owner to do what they want with the horse. So you can work under the auspices of that, work with the owner, and you can follow their direction and be in that type of situation. And so that's where it's at. There are no specific rulings at this point. To kind of bring this into circle for you, back in, 150 years ago or whatever, the AMA, the Medical Association, took electrotherapy, acupuncture, massage, various modalities of therapy out of normal medicine. Their design was different than that, and so these areas were removed from medicine. And so for years in the United States, they weren't considered to be available, to be, I don't want to say they're not beneficial, but to be recognized at these types of situations. And so states would license massage, or states would license acupuncturists, but they never got around to the point, and we've worked on this, getting to a point to where they would license PEMF therapists or whatever. Again, it's a class 1 off-the-shelf device. You can go to Walgreens and buy heat pads. You can go to Walgreens and even buy some PEMF pads, or any place like that, and use these legally, because they are not invasive. They don't cause any problems. There are no contraindications, so you're free to do that. So for a practitioner to provide services for someone, quite often is fine and falls into the realm of normal type of activity. I hope that answers the question. Let's see. Let me take a look at this. A lot of good testimonials on the MagnaWave site here today that I'm looking for questions. Worked on a pregnant mare the other day. The owner never told me until after. Just wondering if anyone had any experience with this. Wondering what any potential side effects. Well, as you know, when pregnancy is involved, quite often things are contraindicated. And so most doctors will tell you not to treat a horse or a person during pregnancy, or specifically over the area of the fetus or the foal or whatever the situation, or the fetus in the body. However, in other countries, they do that. But in the United States, we go away from that. It's contraindicated. Are there any inherent, if the mare is just in foal and just beginning the process or the gestation period, your risks are very low, so that it's typically not an issue. It's a good question to ask if you're dealing with a mare. Are they pregnant? Are what's the situation there? But when you were done, there's nothing that you did that all of a sudden, oh my gosh, this is going to change something. However, we always want to be, again, not treating the area. Over the years, as I've said, we did, it's always contraindicated. However, there have been some horses and the owner has called, or the vet has said, look, the back on this horse is so sore. This horse is going to founder. This horse is, going to be in a serious situation. So treat the legs, treat the feet. Not an issue, but you're following the direction of your veterinarian of what's going on. Good question. Too bad they didn't tell you going in, but you're good, and there's really nothing that you did. There's nothing inherent in this whole process that would cause a problem with pregnancy in a horse or anything like that. So it's just contraindicated. We don't do it if we know that they're pregnant. Let's see if there's another question here. No other questions on CastBox. Everything looks quiet on the YouTube and Facebook side of the house at this point. If you have any questions, just put them in there. If you'd like to talk to me on CastBox, hit the phone button on the app, and you will be able to come in and visit with me, and we can talk about any questions that you might have. And actually, we can have more than one person on the line, and we're going to grow with this. I want to be able to bring a doc on with me, or bring a practitioner on with me, and have a conversation, and then in fact answer questions that people may have in a live type of format as we provide these types of broadcast services and content for you. And we certainly appreciate your viewing and listening. Let's see how we're doing here on CastBox. We got 12 listeners on CastBox at this point. That's coming up. I don't know what we have on the Facebook this morning. 42 people live. Oh my gosh, we're getting close to that 50 number. We're sneaking up there, so that's we're over 50. 52 on, is that right? 56?
I've got 24. I think it's that you're looking at something else.
Oh, I'm looking at the time. That's going 29. Never mind, I'm looking at the wrong number.
Between 29, 12, and 5 on YouTube. We're up against 50.
There you go. We're coming along. And so if you have any questions, just put them in the chat box on YouTube, Facebook, or in the CastBox app, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. Let's see. It looks like there's something popping up over here. Does MagnaWave help with hemiplegia, and how? Well, basically, you're talking about a situation, and this is the question: will good oxygenated blood to the area help what's going on in the body? Could it possibly help? Yes. And basically that would be the process that you're looking to do. It gets hard, but people talk about this and they think, oh my goodness, the way you're talking about it, it's almost good for anything. Well, the answer is, if good oxygenated blood flow is good for the body and can help heal the body, then that's a good thing. And it's certainly, we've had people, they'll call, I've got this situation, will this help? Well, give it a shot. See what this is going to do to your health, to your animal's health, and can it help you get down that road to better health and wellness? Most certainly. Christy, great question. I want to get a little deeper into that specifically for you, and I'll do that, and we'll either cover it in more detail on another show, or I'll post it on the Facebook area so we get to the depths of that particular issue. Don't have the capability right this minute to search it and take a look at it, but all in all, certainly would be worth a try, but we'll get deeper into that. So if you have any other questions, please let me know. Let's see here if anything else has come in on CastBox. Appreciate that very much, that folks are joining us on CastBox. Folks are with us on YouTube and Facebook. Just continuing to expand the area of how to get this out to the folks and get the questions answered that you may have for us. Let me look here and see. Treating someone with Tourette's syndrome? Don't know. If so, what are your results? That's a tough one. Don't know. Certainly wouldn't hurt to treat someone with that, to see if you could help the nervous system of the body, to help the overall situation of the body, and would certainly, anything that could provide well-being and the potentiality of wellness would be certainly within the scope of what you might want to try to feel better and utilize the PEMF therapy. MagnaWave PEMF therapy. Question?
AOPP has information on Tourette's.
If you go to the AOPP, that is PEMFprofessionals.com, the AOPP website, and search Tourette's, there is information on how PEMF has been beneficial for the and been used for those suffering from Tourette's. Great, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Actually, anything, if you've got questions, it's a great place to go for research about pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Again, it's the AOPP, it's the Association of PEMF Professionals, and you can go there and search particular situation that you're experiencing or someone is experiencing, and if PEMF has been used in that and recorded and documented, you can typically find answers there. Another place to go would be the MagnaWave PEMF International Research and Education Group on Facebook. Just go search MagnaWave International PEMF on Facebook and you'll get to that group. And what's nice about that is we're posting things there daily almost, of dealing with specific questions and specific issues that people have encountered over the years. So you can go there and search. On the left-hand part of the page, in the left-hand column, there's a little place to search. On our Facebook page, where we post a lot of information, you can't search. So if you miss something that we talked about or something that was presented, you can't find it. But on this research page, you can. And then, of course, there's the AOPP, where you can go and search specifically, independent of any company, and have a look and get good information on pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, MagnaWave PEMF. Thank you, Chris, for reminding me of that and bringing that up. Okay, let's see, any other questions here on CastBox? No. Let me run over here to Restream. My daughter has a vagus nerve stimulator used to help control her seizures. Can I use MagnaWave to help her, as she has got torn tendons in her shoulder? Okay, so you need the nerve stimulator. Number one, the first question you might be able to answer me, Samantha, is it battery powered? Can it be recharged? Is it implanted? The big issue we have on electronically implanted devices is that quite often, it's not quite often, but there is a potentiality of reducing the charge on the battery, which we don't want to do, so the device maybe would not work. However, if it is rechargeable and you can remove it, if you will, during the treatment, you should be fine to treat the torn tendons in her shoulder. To treat her shoulder should have no relative effect to the from the standpoint of the seizures or the body. Again, you want to check and see. There is research that were put up, but you can check and see what the situation is with the implanted device with regard to. It won't set it off or do anything like that, but it can deplete the batteries. That's the big fear. There are some new pacemakers that people have implanted that the doctors have said as long as you're a foot away, well, so if the pacemaker is here, you could treat the hip or the knees or the feet, that type of thing on someone to help bring them some comfort. And if someone, that's a good little sidebar here. If someone has that type of device that you can treat around, to treat the feet is a great relaxation area, helps relieve pain throughout the whole body in a reflexology type of situation utilizing the PEMF. But so you want to check with that to make sure if it can be relieved or removed or recharged, then you would, again with the doctor's clearance, be able to treat the shoulder to help the healing process there. If you would delve a little deeper, go to AOPP and see seizures. There's been a lot of people that have had seizures, and you might find it on the research page as well, that have used PEMF to help control seizures and work through that whole process. So that's some other things there that you might want to consider or have a look at. Could MagnaWave be used for West Nile? Well, Carrie, certainly again to help the healing process that someone is having with good blood oxygenation and improved blood flow, whatever medications they're giving, what we always would recommend if you're having a medication, you have West Nile and they're giving you some medication, take the medication, let it assimilate into the body, then use the therapy for better blood flow, better oxygenation to help the body be in a position to better heal itself. And you might want to search that also in the AOPP. Great question. I appreciate that. Let me jump over here to see.
We had a question on there about that. It was about the high-power machines versus the Beamer.
I didn't see that. Okay, let me.
No, you're fine.
Where is that on there?
It was right above the vagus nerve stimulator.
Well, for some reason I don't see it on mine.
That's
okay.
What are the main differences between the Maya and the Beamer?
Main differences between the Maya and the Beamer. Okay, the Maya is the MagnaWave digital high-powered machine. It comes in 3 different models. It is high power because it produces several thousand Gauss of energy as it's used. The Beamer, which is a fine device and is good for relaxation and so on and so forth, but it produces only about 35, at a max 50 Gauss of energy delivery. What that means basically is you'd have to use it more often, and you have to use it for longer periods of time in order to really achieve the result that you're looking for. Quite often in many of the low power devices, they'll talk about 15-minute treatment periods on a daily basis, and then you build yourself up to where you're treating yourself an hour a day, perhaps as you sleep, that whole type of thing. With the high power devices like the Maya, being the high powered device that it is, treatment times are much less. You might treat an area of your body only 8 to 10 minutes in a particular setting, and you can have pain relief and inflammation reduction almost immediately. It's not unusual. In fact, that's what really got us going in the beginning. I'd go treat a rider and say, "How's your back?" They said, "Well, it hurts," and I'd treat them and their back would feel better and they'd let me treat their horses because they felt immediate relief from the whole situation, and so did the animals and horses and dogs that we've treated. So that's the primary difference. It is possible with a higher power machine to put the energy into the body that it can utilize to get a very rapid or a more rapid result to what you're looking for. Again, the MagnaWave Maya produces thousands up to 9,000, 10,000 Gauss compared to the Beamer, which only produces, say, in the neighborhood of 35 to 50 Gauss. Here's Brandon giving me a call. I have to call him back. Could have talked to him, but I don't know if he'd have a question. Didn't want to catch him off guard if he called. If you'd like to do that, give me a call back, Brandon. Let's see if anybody has sent a text. I haven't checked that to see if anybody sent a text. No. Let's see. Tuesday. Nope. So no, nothing at this point. No text for anyone to want to have a conversation. Let's see. Let me come back over and check the. Good morning, Mr. Bub on Castbox. So listeners are going up on Castbox as well. We appreciate that. If you have a question, just simply put it in there. I'd be happy to answer it, or any question that you may have about machines, training, certification, whatever it may be. Let me take a quick look over here to, let's see. Is someone in the office using a machine? I'm getting pulsing sound during live programming. No. Well, there are some machines running in the building there, and there's a treatment room right next door. So that could be, that's probably something on your signal, but there are machines running, but nothing that I can hear as we're sitting here. Great question. We'll check it out further to see. Chris is going to check on that and see what he can give us with regard to checking in on that. Thank you for bringing it up. Would this possibly help with severe diabetic neuropathy in my wife's feet? Great question, Mr. Bub. And the answer is yes. Basically, neuropathy is a situation to where the nerve endings in the feet and the hands have a debilitating result. They die or they begin to die off, and circulation is very important. If you catch it early, you can help keep it from getting worse, and in some cases even kind of reverse it. If it's late in the process, so it depends what the loss is. And I've read where people talk about if the damage is less than 85%. I don't know where that number came from, but that's a number that I've read, a number that I've heard. But if the damage is less than 85%, you can get some good result with therapies associated with that used on neuropathy. My case, I have what my doctor tells me is an age-related, I'm not talking about age, but an age-related type of neuropathy, and I, in fact, treat myself regularly. I have a mat, a MagnaWave B2 machine, which produces about 500 Gauss of delivery that I sleep with, and I will rest my feet on the pad and on a nightly basis, and my neuropathy is virtually unnoticeable to me at any point that I had. And there were times I was taking drugs for it, and it was just very uncomfortable and hindered what I was doing. And so that process has helped. The higher powered machines, you can use them for 5 to 8 minutes or so, or 10 minutes on your feet, and after a number of sessions it begins to improve and help the area. Let's see, nothing else has helped. Well, it would certainly, Mr. Bub, be worth a shot to give it a try. There have been a lot of things. Go to the website, look at testimonials, the AOPP site, that's the PEMFprofessionals.com. You can search there for neuropathy, and you'll see how the PEMF has been beneficial in those areas, and certainly worth a try. I hope you find something. She always feels like her feet are on fire, and not exaggerating. Understand totally. I understand the situation totally. Had been there, and so it's certainly worth a try to help the blood oxygen and help this. Now, to further take this along, again, depending how advanced it is, it's not going to regrow. It can help regrow some tissue, but if the nerves are gone in these areas, it's very difficult to potentially achieve what you're looking for. But again, it's the level of problem. Great question, Mr. Bub. Thank you for asking. And go to the website, click the treatment button, and see if there's a practitioner near you that you'd like to try it out. Or give us a call at the office, and we can discuss whatever options there may be for you to approach this. Hope your wife feels better. It's no fun having that type of situation that you're dealing with. Could I trouble you to type the website address? I can do that. MagnaWavePEMF.com. There you go. There you go. Got it up there for you on Castbox, and we'll put it on the screen here and on the YouTube and Facebook. If you'd like to go there, it's MagnaWavePEMF.com, and to see what's going on and learn more about this therapy that has become our passion, that we want to help everyone try to be healthier and happier and feel better with what they're dealing with on a daily basis. You're certainly welcome, Mr. Bub. Thank you for asking the question and participating with us on Castbox this morning. Again, we're getting close on time. It's about 4 minutes to the hour of 10. I like to keep these to about an hour, and we'll be back again next Tuesday and to answer any questions that you may have. Let me check here and see anything else over here. All right. Someone writes they were on vacation and they missed their MagnaWave, and now they're back off vacation. We'll hope you had a good time on your vacation and wave away for your health and wellness here. Let's take another look over here. Thanks so much. Let's see. Nope. Alex says okay. All right. So we're about out of time today. Let's just give it one more chance here to see if anybody has any questions that I can potentially answer about your health and wellness with regard to MagnaWave pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. We want to help you live a happier, healthier life and follow things along. Okay, it looks like everything's kind of quieted down at this point. We certainly appreciate your being here. I want to thank you for joining me. And again, if you have any questions, you can certainly call the office and talk with us, or send me an email. It's PatZemer@MagnaWavePEMF.com, and we will answer any questions that you may have to help you lead a happier, healthier lifestyle. So wave on for better health, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much for joining us.